Hello, I'm Chris Jones, Technical Director at WorkRite, and welcome again to our WorkRite webinar. This month we are covering our new reporting suite. We recognised a few months ago that despite having a very comprehensive set of reports, we had almost too many, and they were serving very similar purposes with very small differences between them, which was confusing for both new and existing customers. So we've drastically reduced and consolidated the reports, focusing on the thing that you're reporting on, as opposed to lots of similar meaning names. So now, if you want to report on things related to training, then we're going to go to the training and assessment report. If you want to look at emails, we're going to go to the email sent report. My colleague Ryan Church is going to run us through our new reports, showing what you can now achieve and how easy it is to find and interrogate the data. Ryan's our sales manager for WorkRite and been with us for 8 years, I think, Ryan.
Nearly
And
nine.
so is
Nearly nine.
nearly 9, and so is well versed and an expert in all things WorkRite. Um, they will evolve over time based on your feedback as much as internal discussion. So if you've got any particular questions or something we've not covered today, please either leave a question in the bottom right hand corner of your screen or get in touch with Ryan after the webinar has ended. And any questions that you ask during the next 20 minutes, we will attempt to get through as many as possible at the end of the webinar. So Ryan, over to you.
That's great, Chris. Thank you very much. Yes, I think the key thing well, one of the key things to take from Chris's introduction there is the reports are evolving, and ever since we released them about this new reporting suite about 5 or 6 weeks ago, there's already another evolution, and that is in the titles of these reports here. I'll come on to the reasons for changing those in a moment, but if you could ask all your questions whilst we're going through, Chris will collate those questions and pose them towards the end of the presentation. But it's those questions and that response that helps us develop the system to make it more appropriate and more usable for yourself. So those that have seen the new reporting suite and see these further new titles to the left-hand side, that's the reason for it, but I'll explain more shortly. Okay, so taking things back a few steps, what we're looking at here, this is the WorkRite Learning Management System. I'm logged into the system as a client administrator. There are 3 levels of access to this system, client administrator being one of them, which has access to all training records assessments within the organization. You have an end user, which we call a student. So a student wouldn't see these administration features on the left-hand side or the quick links on the right-hand side. They also wouldn't see the dashboard information in the middle of the page. So that's a student. They're just there to do whichever training courses they're being asked to complete. Thirdly to that, you've got a client manager. Now, a client manager is very similar to an administrator, client administrator, but they only see training records for the teams that they are responsible for. So they're not bogged down with information on users that don't report to them, and from a security perspective, they only see what data is pertinent to their role. But everybody has to do their training, and the various different training courses will differ per customer. You can see here a long list of courses, everything from asbestos awareness through to fire awareness, mobile working, new and expectant mothers, and our Assess Rite course, which I'll dip into in a moment, just to give you an idea of what the reporting suite is actually reporting on, because it's important to give some sort of context as to what the data I'm about to run for you actually means and where it comes from. So 3 levels of access: client administrator, client manager, and a student, all of which, like I say, need to do their training. They would get to this page from a training notification email inviting them to do their training. They then log in and carry out whichever courses they've been allocated. Now, Assess Rite is our DSE course, and Assess Rite is a course that's actually got an assessment as part of the process rather than just training and a test. You can see here you've got the course itself has got introduction, your chair and desk, your computer, your environment, summary. They then take the test to prove they've understood the training, but they then go on to carry out a self-assessment. Now, not all of our courses have a self-assessment. A DSE one does, the Homeworkers DSE one does, and on occasions, our stress course, our manual handling course, and our driver awareness course, customers like us to add assessments on the end of those. So when I come to the reports in a few moments, they're the types of courses that have assessments attached to them. So after that bit of context and laying out where we sort of start from, let's get into the reports. Right, five reports here, plus the My Save Reports option. It makes sense to start with the users, because once you set up your system, or once we set up your system with you, your users will be the first thing that we populate the tool with. So I'll run the user report. I'll then go on to the training and assessment report. I will then go on to the assessment analysis, a little bit on the email sent, and then crack on with the system log, because that's very much our auditing tool. So we've set your system up. We've got all of your users in the system, and I click on the user report as the administrator or client manager, and I can see all of the information we have on the page here. Now, the vast difference from our old reporting suite is that all of these new reports have got a dashboard. They've got a lot more filters. We've got primary filters, secondary filters, but it's this dashboard and the ease of extracting the information that is the main reason for updating all of our reports. For those customers that have used WorkRite for a period of time, you still have access to the old legacy reports if you wanted to still use those for familiarity purposes. But we are looking to deactivate those sometime, well, 31st of December is our aim date, but if customers aren't using them, or sorry, if customers are still using them approaching that date, we will look to review that. But the idea is that people will get the benefit from using the new reporting tool. So I will continue with the user report. Primary filters. Now the primary filter that it defaults to is students, client managers, client administrators, so it's showing me the user data for everybody, and it's also showing me all the users that are active. So the first page we see here, I can see that all of the active users on my system, there are 162 users by role. I can click on there and see that 6.17% of them are client administrators, 8.2% are managers, and the rest of them, 85.8%, are students. It's all information that will update when I change my filters. Secondary filters also obviously are recorded when I apply that filter. But if I just show you the difference by just selecting students, that information I've got 139 users. Obviously, users by role, they're all students because I'm only looking at students now, and users assigned to various courses. I can see that of all of my student users, this is the courses that they actually have access to, and you can see that there's 2, 4, 6, 8 courses that everyone has access to, and then line managers, less people, assess Rite and home workers, they're split between our office-based staff and our field-based staff. New and expecting mothers, as you imagine, only a few people with access to that course, our dyslexia screener, and so on. I mean, that just to explain how that particular tool is quite useful. I've put in my primary filter as students, so I'm just going to run the reports for them. But what I might want to find out is the users in a particular location. So if I pick my locations, I might want to find out who in the office is in the system. I apply the filter, and I can see there are 63 users in the office. Obviously, still all users by role are students. Users assigned by course. If I open this now, it should be still assess Rite as the key course for those particular users there, but I've got all of the data I need from my office-based users, and if I wanted to, I can export that information to Excel. I can send it to CSV to run further pivot tables if I needed to, but I can also punch that information out into a PDF. So if you had a monthly, quarterly, annual report that you needed to create sort of pretty graphs for, this system will do that for you just by exporting to PDF. So all of the dashboards will do that and populate accordingly. All reports have got this save function, but I'll come on to that with the training and assessment report shortly, because that's actually more pertinent when it comes to saving and scheduling reports. So the principle here is I apply a primary filter, I apply a secondary filter, or multiple secondary filters if I wanted to, and the data on the page will modify accordingly. So that's the user report. If I then move on to the training and assessment report, this is the type of report you would use to find out, as it suggests, anybody's training complete, non-complete, whether they've done an assessment or not, and how far they've got through that. So this one here, it defaults to all courses. So you can see the numbers here. There are 12 open issues within all of the assessments. The completion stats for all courses: incomplete 43%, complete 57%. Okay. Users assigned by course, and then 11 incomplete assessments across the whole of the system. If I limit that to just the one course, let's say Assess Rite, apply the filter, I've got one open issue. The completion stats for this particular course, not quite as good across that particular course there. Bit of chasing up for our administrator to do, but I can see there are 3 incomplete assessments, and we know they're the Assess Rite assessments that have applied that filter. Again, you've got secondary filters, and this time you've got a lot more options because there's a lot more variables when it comes to training and assessment. I want to find out what users have completed their course in the last 12 months, just as an example of the type of filter I can put in place. 12 months, apply the filter, and I can see here all those users that have completed that particular course. So we're on Assess Rite, remember, in the last 12 months. If I wanted to see all the users for that page, I quite simply change that option to all. And that information there might be useful, like I say, for a monthly, quarterly, or annual type of report. And it might be one that you wanted to save and schedule to send you as the administrator, or as an administrator of any level, to send you that data on a regular basis. So if I title that training complete in the last 12 months, description, I'm going to call that a test because I want to be able to delete this later on for different purposes, but I'm going to save that report. So training complete in the last 12 months. What I can then do in my my save reports option, remember what I've done there, I've done Assess Rite course, training complete in the last 12 months. That saves report has now jumped into my save reports, and it's here as an option so that I can schedule an automatic email to be sent to myself at various periods of time, daily, weekly, monthly, annual, or I can do custom days. So if you wanted to do 3 months, you can just do, let's do 90 days. I can save that, and what the system will now do is it will schedule every 90 days to send me the updated training records for the last 12 months for the Assess Rite course. And you can do that with any number of courses, any number of schedules, but I thought there's a sensible option or example to give you, to demo for you. So I've done my training. I'm then going to go into my assessment analysis. Now, for customers that have used WorkRite for any period of time, there's a report that a lot of our customers use, which we used to call the assessment analyzer. Still available in the legacy reports, but it's really useful snapshot information. And this one here defaults to that assessment analyzer info. So Assess Rite's the active, the applied filter there. Display type. Okay, we're looking at totals, and what we're looking at within the whole page here, if you look to the left-hand side of the page, this is the section heading within the DSE assessment, so how you use your computer, and then in the middle you've got the question. I'm going to scroll all the way down to a particular example that I always like to use. If I go to, oh, I've gone too far. Your Health General. The question in the office-based assessment is, do you experience head, neck, or backache whilst working on your computer, which you think may be associated with its use? Never, sometimes, or often. If I wanted to find out those 15 people that said often, I would click on the often, and it gives me a list of those people there. Now that information can then be emailed, and I can collate that for whatever purposes I need to. I could maybe arrange face-to-face assessments with those people. However, if I wanted to find out a report for a different assessment, I would go to those different assessments. I mentioned at the start that other courses may have assessments on them. Our driver course here does, our homework assessment does. I'm not going to alter that filter just because I know there's appropriate data in this Assess Rite one, but the secondary filters here are simply course group, so the person's allocated to that group, their job role, if they've got a line manager, location, if the assessment is overdue, any questions in the assessment, have they got access to the DSE screener, and the various sections from the assessment. Now, these options here will, the options once selecting the secondary filter here will obviously be different for each individual system, but this system here has got 3 locations, so I can apply that information for the field. Okay, the biggest trend I can see here, how intensively do you use your keyboard and screen? The biggest trend is everybody's answer, the most people have answered medium, e.g. part of the part input, part reading. Again, I can save the report should I need to. I can export to Excel, CSV, or PDF. Then we've got the email sent report. Now, what we're looking to do here is to find out who has been notified, who hasn't been notified, or what type of emails have been sent to various different people. Now, this one defaults to all emails. There's a series of manual and automated emails from this system. But if I wanted to see all emails sent, you'll notice that was saying 401 emails sent in the last 7 days. This report defaults to the last 7 days. So what I want to find out here is who's been sent their login details, login request. Let's clear all of those and select login request. Apply the filter in the last 12 months. Okay, bad example. Let's pick, training notification report in the last 12 months. There we go, 521 emails sent in the last 12 months to various different people. There's training notification. If I wanted to nail that down, nail the information down to various different secondary filters, again, I've got my various options there. So I can see that 254 training notification emails have been sent to the office location in the last 12 months. Again, exportable. Again, I can save the report, but here, because these are emails that are sent, I can select all the people and I can email them another notification should I want to. That type of functionality has always been within the system, but this is just improving the interface so it looks a little bit cleaner for you. The 5th report is our system log. Now, those that have used the new reporting system for the last 5 or 6 weeks since it was released beginning of July, this system log, this was previously called the audit report, but we're very aware from feedback from customers that an audit report was a little bit misleading as to the type of information that you could find, but system log is a very sort of clear description of the data held within this report. So the action by user, what I'm looking to find out here is what a particular person has done over a particular period of time, and I can nail down into all sorts of levels of detail. I'm going to pick on Chris because he's my co-presenter and won't mind me pointing out what he has and hasn't done with this system. I'm going to apply all the actions that Chris has completed in the last, let's pick a period, the last year. There should be quite a lot of information here. Apply that filter, and in the last year, Chris within this system has carried out 86 different entries. You can see on the right-hand side here, he's run a training report, an assessment report. He's been through the report. So as an administrator on any level, or maybe Chris in the system as a client manager, I can see what activity Chris has had. Now, if I wanted to be even more specific, find out what actions he's carried out on a particular person, if I pick Paul, I can see over a period of time, Chris has sent all of that information to Paul. Chris, are you able to help me out a little bit there?
Yeah, so all these reports that I've viewed have contained Paul within that report. So these are actions that have contained Paul within that list. So if I'd actually performed something on Paul as well, like sent him an email, for instance, which we wouldn't have done because it's all managed by one person, so I wouldn't have actually performed any actions there. Okay. But Paul would have been contained in every time I ran this report or these reports.
Okay, Great. So that's thank you, Chris. So yeah, it's understanding exactly what not just the end users have carried out, but also client managers. It's a really useful way of sort of finding out. Let's be fair. This is the Big Brother report for the client administrators to see exactly what's been going on. When somebody says to you, "I didn't receive that, I didn't do that," then you can actually see, well, on this date, I can see that you did, and that's really the aim of this. Is it's your full system log, if you like, of everything that's happened within WorkRite. That really, folks, is the 5 reports, and like I showed you, is the My Saved option as well. Chris, did we have any questions whilst we were going through that, or
We've
get away with it this time?
only got one today, but if anybody's got more while I'm asking Ryan this question, please feel free to stick it down there now. But the one question that's been asked is if the same user has been selected more than once, when depending on the type of report. So if you were, for instance, in the email sent report, if you'd selected that same user or they were in more than one row when you click select all, and you clicked to email them, would they receive one email or multiple emails?
Okay, so let's run something there so we can see what that, let's give you a visual representation of that particular example. Okay, we've got Sharon Croxton on this list multiple times. So if I was to select all and drop them an email there, the system will be sending an email per entry. So my understanding, and Chris, you may correct me on this, being our technical director, is that she would receive multiple emails?
No. She'll receive one. So if you hit email now, we should find that there's two users to email. So effectively, we wanted to catch those people that have been sent something like that before. If we go and email them again, it will only email that person the once, as opposed to getting millions of emails when you were only trying to achieve one action.
Exactly as you would hope, Chris. Apologies, I got that a little bit confused there.
Well, you're having to answer these on the fly, so
well, one question and I got caught out once, 100% hit rate, but there you go. Anything else in that time, Chris?
Can we check what training people have been issued and when it was issued? So
okay. So we pick the training report. We pick a particular course. So again, for argument's sake, I'm going to pick Assess Rite. Apply the filter. I'm going to look for latest records, and I can find out course notification. There we go. Notification last sent. So if I wanted to pick any, I can pick any. Let's pick the Assess Rite train notification. Apply the filter. And I can also pick the notification last sent date. And I can pick the last, let's do 12 months again. There we go.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ryan. I think hopefully that answers the question. And that is about it for the moment. So thank you very much. And if you've got any other questions, as I say, please email Ryan or contact support. And if you've got any problems with running any of the reports or any other element of the system, that's what our support desk is there for. So thank you very much, and we hope to see you next month. Many thanks.
Thanks, Ryan. Cheers now. Bye-bye.
Bye.